how do you use the hotbox in Maya? The most common use of it is first, you have to hover over a viewport. You have your mouse hover over a viewport, then press and hold the spacebar. And then you have different sections. You have the center where you see Maya. And then you notice these lines, they break up into the upper or up or north. So if you're within here, that's the north. Here is east. On the bottom is south between these lines. And then on the left is west. So you have center, north, east, southwest. But mainly how you're going to use it is if you press spacebar, click on the Maya and left click and hold. And you could choose the different views, like perspective views, or do it again. Hold spacebar, left click on Maya, and let's say go to right view, and it'll switch to the right view. And it actually switches to the camera instead of taking the camera and changing to that view. I just put it back to perspective there. So the purpose of the hotbox is basically to have quick access to your menus or to switch the view of the camera really quickly instead of going to the menus up here and switching and changing to different modes in the status line here as well. It's really helpful in expert mode. So if you hover your mouse over the viewport and press Control and spacebar and let go, you'll switch to expert mode where you hide the user interface. But if you hold the spacebar, now you still have all the menus selected and you can still do things and then let go of spacebar and then you don't have to go in and out. But obviously, this is once you know what all the menus do. Before that, you probably want to press Control and spacebar again and have your whole interface until you get used to it. So how the hotbox is organized is normally in the status line, the way Maya is organized, besides the newer feature where you have the workspace that's organized in different layouts, Maya has actually grouped their tools based off of modeling. If you go on the status line here, if you do not see the status line that's under Windows, UI elements, status line, you see that will go away. If I take it off, if I go back, UI elements to turn it back on, or you can press spacebar and then holding it and go on to the east or the right side, left click and choose status line. You have to hold it and then choose status line if it's not on. So in here, basically you have modeling, rigging, animation, FX, and rendering, and then you have your own customize here. But if you notice up here, the first few elements of the menus are always the same. So file, edit, create, select, modify, display, windows are always the same no matter which mode you go into. And you can switch modes as well. If you go from F2 is modeling, F3 is rigging, F4 is animation, F5 is FX, and F6 is rendering. So from F2 to F6, you can switch between these as well. And you notice from file to Windows is always stay the same. And the last part of this version of Maya, cache, Arnold, and help always stays the same. So only when you switch the middle between Windows and cache switches depending on your mode here. So if you go and hover over the viewport and press spacebar and you get the hotbox, the top part, file, edit, create, select, modify, display in Windows. That's the same here. File, edit, create, select, modify, display in Windows. These always stay the same no matter which mode you're in the status line here. And the last part, cache, Arnold, help. These last three, cache, Arnold, help, those always stay the same as well. So it's everything in between Windows and cache. That's what changes when you switch. So if I go to modeling right now, between there is edit, mesh tools, mesh display, curves, surfaces, deform, UV, and generate. So if I hold the spacebar, you'll notice the first line, as I mentioned, mesh all the way up to generate. From here to here is the same. And that first line is for modeling. If I go switch to rigging, this between Windows and cache changes, select, so it goes from skeleton, skin, deform, constraint to control. If I go over here and press spacebar for the hotbox, the next line is skeleton, skin, deform, constraint, control. And as you can imagine, this one is next animation. You see from key to mesh, Down here, key all the way the same to mesh. Next is effects, same thing. And particles all the way to mesh again. So let's see, end particles all the way to mesh, right? And the last one's rendering. So rendering light, you see after Windows, you have lighting and shading all the way up to stereo. So if I hold spacebar for the hotbox, lighting, shading, texture, render, tune, stereo. So the way they organize it is that if you're in, let's say, expert mode by pressing Control spacebar and you hold the spacebar, you have access to all your menus. So the top part stays the same. And then each menu, this one's for modeling, rigging, animation, effects, and then rendering. And then the middle here is to choose your viewport. Here's like the recent commands of what was done. And if you click on this, these are extra controls, extra things you could do with the hotbox controls. And then you have the regions. So the region on the right side, again, this is to change the UI elements, similar to if you go into the Windows UI elements up here, or you could hold the hotbox and you could do the same thing. Windows UI elements is the same thing. And then up here in the north region, you have these selections. These are the different layout sections. Here you could choose what the viewport will be. And then in this section, you could have different options, which you could change afterwards. These are called marking menus in Maya. So that's how that's if I press Control Spacebar to go back to regular view, that's the purpose of a hotbox and how it's organized and how you meant to use it.
And if some parts of this felt a little too fast, or you're not quite confident using the tools just yet, that's totally okay. The 3D Character Accelerator was made to fix that problem fast. If you're a complete beginner, we walk you through everything step by step so you can create portfolio-ready 3D character models in just 14 days, even if you've never used Blender before. If you're already a bit more experienced, this program will help you sharpen your workflow, learn faster ways to sculpt and render, and create characters that actually stand out online. You'll find the link in the description. Check it out, see if it's a good fit, and decide from there. Thanks again for watching. Hope you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one. If you found this helpful, give it a like, drop a comment to share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe. Enable notifications to stay updated on future videos.